Hi, Almaz. Thank you so much for being here today. It's great speaking.
Hello.
So today we're going to spend like 10 minutes on your fundraising story because you recently managed to fundraise, which is amazing. So congrats to that.
Thank you.
But before we go into the details and learn more about your fundraising story, it would be awesome if you could give like a quick intro about yourself and your business and what you're doing.
Thanks, Sule. So yeah, my name is Almaz. I'm a co-founder of aerodymax, which is soon to be Dymaxa. And we are developing solutions for trucks. We make conventional trucks spend less fuel and emit less CO2. And we help the EV trucks extend the range and be more efficient. We indeed have fundraised. In the past. So far, we have fundraised for about 400,000 euros, and of which recently we raised additional 150,000 from prominent Austrian angel investors like Thomas Rosenmeier and Ryan Grant Little. So we do have some experience in fundraising, mostly with angel investors.
Yes, perfect. That's also why I wanted to speak with you, because I think there are a lot of founders out there that are also trying to fundraise and want to understand better what are basically the tips and tricks, and also want to learn from successful founders. So let's start maybe with like the preparation and the start of the fundraising. How did you basically prepare your first fundraising round? Like, what did you do upfront?
Well, I would say the preparation for any fundraising starts with the founder selling the idea to his friends, his family, whatever industry experts that he or she may know. And if you can sell the idea to your potential co-founders, and if you can sell idea to those people, then you may have, optimistic expectations about how much money you could raise. However, if your great idea doesn't ring a bell with anyone, your friends, former colleagues, etc., included, that is a big red flag. So I would say that the selling of the idea starts from the idea itself. When you talk to those friends, family, and fools, and then if you're feeling that you're becoming successful, and the group of people that are joining you or is getting a bit passionate about your idea is growing. And even better, if you can get co-founders to join your crazy idea, then obviously it's going to be vastly much easier to fundraise from investors. So I would say it starts there. And my suggestion would be for anyone who wants to fundraise, talk to as many smart people as you may know, talk to people from the industry, as many people as you may know, get coffee with them and etc. And then based on the feedback that you're going to be getting and traction that you're going to be getting, your plan will develop naturally in terms of the fundraising.
Yes, that's great. I like that. And so obviously, once you have kind of worked on all of that, your idea, you have figured out, like a reasonable problem and an opportunity in the market. You also, I think, need to work a lot on which investors are you actually going to approach, because there are plenty of investors. And my question would be, how did you identify what's the best investor that works for you in this specific stage?
Okay. Yeah. So I think the ideal investor is a person who has the money, who is actively investing, who, sort of clicks with yourself on a personal level. The ideal investor is a person you can become friends with. That is very important. And also that person needs to be motivated to pursue something that you're pursuing. So basically look for opportunities and look to invest money. So if you consider all those check marks, it becomes evident that it is probably easier to find a partner in life than an ideal investor. So ideal investor exists in the ideal world. And I would say that we should be a bit more flexible as founders when searching for capital, especially in the current market conditions.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot what was the other part.
No, that's it. I was
The ideal investor.
the ideal investor. I think what's interesting here is that you already say that it's important to know that you will have a long lasting relationship with this person. And I think this is something which many founders forget, that you will actually stay in business with your investor for quite a long period of time. And that's why I think it's also so important to know exactly, or have like this personal match as well.
You're absolutely right. And I was actually talking to one fund manager last week, an Italian guy, and I remember he said it very funnily. He said, um, "You you can divorce from your wife, but you cannot divorce from your investor. It's very important to pick the right investor." That's what he said,
Yes.
and I remember that because that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I think it's true. I
Yeah.
think it's pretty much true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And is there any specific tip that you would give right now other founders that are in the current stage of preparing for fundraising? Anything that you would give as a piece of advice?
Yeah. Well, we've actually read a lot of books and blogs about fundraising, a lot of successful stories. And the interesting thing that we found out when we were fundraising is, the cold outreach did not work at all in our case. We have tried cold emails. We have tried cold emails to VCs, angel investors. We have tried cold LinkedIn messages. We've tried calling. In one of our latest campaigns, we sent about 2,000 messages to 2,000 different active funds. It was active funds as well. And we've gotten two responses. One of the responses was a no, and the other response was interesting. So that was the response. So one of the biggest learnings that I've had recently from the fundraising is that for us, at least, it was virtually not possible to raise, with a cold outreach. Only warm contacts, or when we met people personally at different events, only those materialized, and that was a bit unexpected. And that's the biggest find that I noticed, in the last year of fundraising.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is super interesting. And I think more and more people realize that it's a real effort to do this relationship building. I think it's nothing that, it's just done through, as you say, like one email or a cold call. It's actually like really trying to establish a relationship through, different angles, like events and other connections, other mutual connections that can introduce you. But obviously that also is a lot of work, and I think often underestimated how much time it requires. So yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. And actually, when I was complaining about this to one of my angel investors, he explained to me that, he gets so many messages all over the place. And he said, like, I would never understand your industry or any other industry, in any sensible way. It is just his resources are limited, his time is limited, and that is why there's actually no point for him even to open those cold outreaches. So it does make sense from the investor perspective. I guess I was expecting a bit more positive outcome from the VCs because it's actually their job to be screening those. But interestingly, when we reached out to the same exact funds through mutual acquaintances, those contacts were successful. But when we reached out on a call, they were never successful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So, well, that's already one challenge, I think. But is there any other challenge that you faced when you started with your fundraise?
I think everything about fundraising is challenging, quite frankly. I will be very honest. And I think, a person needs to be prepared to make the fundraising successful. I would suggest, read as many books on the topic as you can, talk to as many experienced people as you can. And the most important thing in my mind is to be very proactive. All the investors that ended up investing in us, we had to chase them down. We had to hunt them down. We had to follow up with them. They are not actively looking. You as a founder are looking. And my biggest advice would be, never be afraid of coming off too strong, of coming off too annoying to a potential investor. That is your job. And if you're trying to play normal, you will have normal results. With the fundraising, you need to annoy people to death, and you need to go after them, and you should not be scared to be non-normal, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to become non-normal in terms of what you're manufacturing, in terms of what you're offering to the market, and that's what you should communicate to the investor as well. And from what from the feedback that I've gotten from the investors that have invested in us, it was actually that passion and determination was something that intrigued them. So I think an experienced investor can read into it, because an experienced investor understands that it's all about passion, and it's all about persistence for the founder. Like, founders will always have difficult path to make the startup successful. And only the ones that try the hardest are normally successful.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they already understand that, and don't be afraid to do that. That would be my advice.
Yeah, I like that, because I mean, it shows also from like investor perspective how dedicated the founders are, and probably it also mirrors what you're gonna do later onwards working in your business, and being persistent and dedicated also with, like closing deals and getting the business running. So I think it's great kind of to show this also in the investment process. So yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice. Okay. Let's look also besides the challenges. Is there anything that you would have liked to know before the fundraising? Anything that now retrospectively, I mean, you mentioned already a few points regarding the outreach, for example. Anything else that comes to your mind?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say that what I found out is industry specific, actually. For example, apparently VCs are not fans of hardware or trucking. And because as a person who's read a lot of Silicon Valley books, you just go with the flow, and that's not always the way. And I would say you can be more flexible and research where the money can come into your industry, into your business. It doesn't necessarily need to be VCs. It doesn't necessarily need to be angels. So my advice would be a little bit more flexible, because ultimately it comes down to someone who could understand and see value in what you're doing, and realize that with some opportunity, he or she can make money as an investor.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily angel investors and VC funds. So be a little bit more flexible and understand that there's a big human component to it as well, and take that into account. It's not always by the book. The real life is real life. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I think that's a great one, especially considering that you are offering hardware. I think definitely like a tricky business area or like product offer to get funds for. But yeah, this is great reminder that ultimately comes down to someone that believes in what you're doing, no matter what it is. Nice.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. Let's maybe close our talk with a little reflection. Can you maybe share like a moment where you felt momentum, where you felt, okay, now it's picking up, now it's going in the right direction. Also, something that gave you like the energy and some positive feedback to move forward with the fundraising.
Yeah, absolutely. We have been actually experiencing that in the last 2 months. The traction, the sales are picking up, and looking at things from this side right now, I can tell you that the feeling that you get when your startup is growing sales and the customers actually need your product, when your baby is actually starting to make the first step, that is probably the best feeling that a person could experience, at least someone who's working to be a founder. And I can tell you that the dopamine level that you get from that, it beats everything. It beats absolutely everything. and it makes everything worthwhile. And I have recently read a book that is called "The Hard Thing About the Hard Thing," and there's a very interesting quote that I read there. It reads, "You only ever experience two emotions in a startup: euphoria and terror, and I find that lack of sleep enhances them both." So it's basically ups and downs all the time. We are now at the up moment, but I rest assured, especially whoever doesn't like us, we're gonna hit the terror moment many, many times in the future, and that is part of the game.
Yeah.
And yes, if you are ready for it, then you should absolutely go for it. Nothing is like that.
Nice, that's great. I like this. A little motivational speech to the end. No, I think it's great. And of course, there are always a lot of ups and downs. And I think it's like part of the founder's life. But I'm super happy that now you're on an up, and I hope this continues and you can now use this money to bring basically the business to the next level. So yeah, thank you for giving insights into your fundraising experience. And I'm sure this is going to help also other people a lot.
Thank you so much. Nice being with you. And I hope this helped at least one person. Then I'm happy.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.